Lupin saying good morning.
Good morning. Welcome to Let's Get Growing Facebook Live. I'm Jeff Mason joining you as usual. We're here in the greenhouse today. And of course, what else do you talk about in December but all those gift plants we're bombarded with at this time of the year. And I really, more than anything, want to mention about sort of the different plants that we have available and the different care items. This is just an assortment we got at a garden center yesterday. And these are all side by side in the garden center, often mixed into containers with each other as gift giving things. And when you put them all together, they look great. But in reality, they're not going to last that long in those arrangements. A few weeks, absolutely. A month, probably. Longer than that, and you're going to start having some real issues. With some of them, you'll have issues really, really quickly. And we'll get to that in a minute. First of all, of course, the plant of this season is the poinsettia. They're available in so many different colors, forms, sizes now. It's amazing. There are some really, really stunning ones. We were at a garden center the other day. We saw an amazing, almost black leaf one with really dark red flowers that were all pointed, sort of like an oak leaf. Real stunner. And we've got all these other color variations. I mean, I think some of the newer ones are like this peach one here, which I think is outstanding. I guess you'd have to have the right color combination in your house and the right color combination of things to put it with, but I think it's an amazing color. Certainly one of my favorites always is the variegated leaf one. I just love this one. Always got such great color in the foliage. I keep trying to keep one of these things over and use it as a tropical for the summer, but I always end up killing it. But we'll try again. The neat candy cane one with the speckles is always a fun one. And there's some neat miniature ones now too. Now I couldn't find the one called Christmas Rose this year. It's a small one with very curled and crinkled growth that makes it look like roses, actually, a little bit more. This guy I had never seen before. This is one called Christmas Mouse with a very rounded petal. That's kind of a neat one. Definitely a dwarf one for sure. I didn't see this in any big plants, big pots at all, but kind of an interesting leaf pattern for that one. And with all the big guys, and there's some smaller varieties, these ones have really intrigued me for the last few seasons now. They're not available in a lot of colors, but I think the impact of the amount of flowers you get on a plant is amazing. These are called poinsettias, and they're basically available in white, pink, and red. The flower heads are smaller, but look at how many you get. That's 1, 2, 3, 4. There's like 6 flower heads on a 4-inch pot. I think if you were doing anything with sort of mixed containers or something like that, I would look for the poinsettias. They're certainly available pretty widely now, and really quite outstanding. Now, while we're on poinsettias, of course, there's a few things that are very important to remember. I think the biggest thing, poinsettias are not winter plants. They are tropical. They're very sensitive to cold. Why do we use them at this time of the year? Because this is when they bloom. If you were to go to Mexico right now, you would see poinsettias blooming in the ditches like weeds. They bloom in the short days of winter. So for us, they work as a neat holiday gift plant. Always remember, if you're looking for what would constitute a really fresh poinsettia, remember that the big flowers that we look at are actually modified leaves, or called bracts. The flowers are right here, tiny little flowers in a little cluster. And if you're looking for a really fresh poinsettia, look at those flowers. In these ones, there's like 2 little flowers open, and the rest are still in bud. That means this has just turned color, and it's going to last a long time. If you see that flower cluster completely finished, then you're not going to have as long a life with your plant. Now, as I mentioned, the poinsettias being tropical, they do not like cold. Do not take them outside on a cold day open. A good garden center will wrap them. They'll insist on wrapping them. It was 10 degrees yesterday, and the garden center insisted on wrapping the plants, which is what they should do. Be careful when you buy them from a grocery store or somewhere like that. Some places will leave them sitting out sleeved and open to the cold from the top. That will really shorten their life. You'll get a lot of leaf drop. As well, buy them from a place that doesn't leave them sleeved up. Poinsettias go through an odd condition when they're left sleeved, and that if they're left sleeved too long, the stems and things don't right themselves, and it's almost like a toxicity that they get from being kept in sleeves too long. So buy them from a place that sleeves them up when you are leaving the store, and not somewhere that has them wrapped in sleeves for day upon day upon day, because they really don't take more than about 24 hours being sleeved before damage can occur. So keep that in mind. When they're in the house, absolutely never let them dry out. They will go faster than anything. Part of the reason why I do not have poinsettias in our house. They like lots of moisture, probably daily watering in a warm household. Don't put them anywhere where cold drafts are going to come in through doors and things. They just don't tolerate that. And if you want to keep them going for a long time, keep them moist, keep them warm. Bright light, but you know, the light conditions aren't even as crucial while they're sort of in bloom. They're just doing their thing. If you want to keep them growing on later, then yeah, lots of light, full sun even if you can. Eventually those bracts will wear off and you'll prune them back and let them grow as a bush. Can you get them to rebloom? Yeah, you can, but it's a tricky job. I'd more often than not just say, pitch your poinsettias at the end of the season and get new ones next year. If I can keep that variegated one alive, I'll grow it on. I want to see it in the summer. But that's the poinsettia. There's some really great ones out there, so have a look. Now, some of the other plants that we see a lot of at this time of the year, and they actually make a great plant for the cooler parts of your house. If you've got a place where the front door opens and there might be a bit of a draft of cold air, a plant that won't bother too much are the cyclamen. There are some amazing cyclamens out there right now, especially the miniature ones that you get in a 4-inch pot. The leaf patterns and colors are just outstanding, and every flower color. This is a nice dark red that I just picked up. It was a hard choice to make because, like I say, the flower colors, bicolors, frilled edges, they're all just amazing right now. But cyclamen are almost winter hardy plants for us, so they like it cool. So keep that in mind. If you've got a cool windowsill, a cool room, a cool foyer, stay away from the poinsettias. Look at cyclamen. Again, keep them moist. At this stage, they are a tuber in there, but at this stage, they don't want to dry out. If you see them wilting, give them a good soak. Keep them moist. After they finish blooming, they could be kept over. We have actually rebloomed cyclamen before, so it is possible. Generally, the life cycle of a cyclamen is that when you've got them in bloom, they're going to bloom for quite a while, remove flowers, stems as they finish, and it'll produce more. When they're finished blooming, the foliage will start to die down and disappear. And that's very normal for the foliage to turn color and yellow and disappear. Because then they're going to go through what would be a summer rest. Cyclamen are a bulb or a tuber that grows in the fall, winter, early spring, and then is dormant for the summer. So you could grow these by letting them go dormant for the summer. Keep them growing as long as you can through the winter. Sometime in late winter, early spring, the foliage will die off. Keep them dry for the summer, and then sometime in the autumn, you will start to see growth from the tubers. Then you can start watering them, usually in late September, October, and then they'll leaf out and come back into bloom again. So if you've got some really neat cyclamen that you've collected and you love the foliage patterns and things, easy to keep over. Great for a cool house, cool room. Now, one plant we're seeing a lot of now at this time of the year, in mixed containers especially as a filler plant, is this guy. This is what's called the frosty fern. It's not really a fern, it's actually a club moss. It's more closely related to peat moss probably than ferns, but it's called frosty fern. It's a Selaginella. It is a tropical plant, and the Selaginellas love moisture, warmth, and high humidity. You can see these have been grown in quite a humid environment. There's lots of air roots coming out. Totally different environment from what you'd want to grow your poinsettias in and some of the other things we're going to talk about, but they look great. They have this white frosted edge, and that actually shows up by cooling the plants down. So in a warm house, you probably won't see much of that white edging, but they'd make a neat terrarium plant for long term. Indoors, these aren't going to last for very long because nobody can keep the humidity high enough in their house to get these to grow continuously. If you can keep them alive, you could use them as an outdoor filler plant in containers. They would work for that. Indoors in a terrarium, they'd be great. So keep that in mind for those. Never let them dry out. As we get into sort of the more evergreeny looking plants, you get a real mix of things. You're never quite sure what you've got with a lot of these evergreens and things. One of the most popular ones for the winter season is the lemon cypress. One of my favorites. Wonderful chartreuse foliage. Gorgeous lemon fragrance. I just love this plant. But these are not easy to keep as houseplants. They like lots and lots of sunlight. Easily more sunlight than we can probably give them indoors. They never want to dry out. You have to be very careful with the watering. Keep them moist. A little bit of cool, they won't mind. They'd actually prefer that. So you got a really sunny, cool spot, they'd be great. This isn't a tropical evergreen, it's about a zone 8. So a zone 8 plant still wants pretty cool temperatures to keep them happy and healthy. So cool temperatures, lots of sun, lots of moisture. Keep that in mind. A lot of these plants are in a 4-inch pot when you get them. I don't know how these are. Pretty root bound already. So these are going to dry out fast. If you're thinking about maybe growing these on, consider moving these up into like a 6-inch pot. It'll help keep them watered and quite nice. Now, what we're also seeing in a lot of garden centers and that now are a couple of other evergreen plants. They always look good with stuff at this time of the year. So we're seeing this guy a lot now. This is labeled the Euro Cypress. It's actually a Chamaecyparis lawsoniana, Elwoodii. It's a wonderful bluish green tint to it. This is actually a winter hardy conifer here in Ontario. Much like a cedar, it's one of the false cypress. Again, lots and lots of light inside. Don't let them dry out. They suffer very quickly when these little pots dry out, so you need to be very careful of that. But a cool spot plant, which is great. You could combine these with the cyclamens, any of the other conifers, in arrangements for a cool spot. Another one that's gotten very popular in the last couple of years is this guy here. Now this one, I just picked these up a week or so ago. Took them out of the 4-inch pot they were in because they were extremely root bound. But I just love these. These are a beautiful little Italian stone pine. Wonderful bluish foliage. They're in growth right now, so it's a bit greener, but again, like the other evergreens, lots of light, cool temperatures. Again, this is not a fully winter hardy pine in our climate. It's about a zone 8. So if you're going to keep these in the house, you got to keep them really cool. Any of these evergreens have got to be kept really cool to keep them as an indoor plant for the winter. You know, if you got a sunny conservatory that's really bright and is quite chilly, that would be kind of ideal for these. Use them inside for a few weeks and then put them into a really cool spot. The neat thing about this pine, this is the Italian stone pine, like I said, and this is the pine that we get pine nuts from. Now, this little baby specimen is going to be many years before it ever gets cones, so don't think you're going to go into the pine nut business, but neat conversation plant. But again, similar to the other conifers, not an indoor plant, and really just a short-term decoration unless you've got that really cool spot. Also in the garden center we were in, and rightfully so, I think, they had some beautiful little 1-gallon cedars to put into mixed containers. And again, exactly the same, although this is a fully winter hardy plant. Once you've had them inside for a while and they're growing, you probably don't want to throw them right outside. Maybe put them out into a garage or something when you're done with them, but you might want to keep them indoors if you want to keep them over, and try keeping them really, really cool. Don't let them dry out. Bright light, but you know, they are winter hardy, so you can use them outside. If you want to do that, I'd probably keep them outside and then bring them in short term and put them back out. Like if you had a live Christmas tree, just bring it in for a week or so and then back outside. But you know what, this foliage will hold up for quite a long time indoors in a mixed planting. So for short-term use as a container plant in a mix, they'd be fine. Keep in mind, any of these will suffer insanely quickly if they get too dry. They will dry out and look crisp, and they will not come back from it. So be careful of that. This is another one we picked up. Again, another fully hardy plant here, but the foliage texture, again, looks great in a mixed planter. These are a false cypress again. This is the golden mop threadleaf false cypress, Chamaecyparis piscifera. Makes a wonderful little rock garden conifer. It's just got this neat mop sort of shape to it. Gold foliage, but again, has that great texture and things. Fully winter hardy, so again, lots of light, keep it really cool. for best results. Another plant we see at this time of the year in holiday arrangements is wintergreen. So this is Gaultheria procumbens. It's actually a woodland evergreen ground cover. It's fully winter hardy here. If you have acidic soil, you want a ground cover underneath rhododendrons and azaleas and things like that, think about the wintergreen. It's a wonderful plant for that. It gets little bells of white flowers like blueberry flowers. It is in the rhododendron family, the ericaceous family. Wonderful berries, and these berries are where you get wintergreen mint from. Again, very, very showy, but again, another winter hardy, short-term indoors plant, unless you've got a really cool spot. But looks good with everything else, and it's got the berries through the winter, so it looks good. So that's a bit of a rundown. Now, this is where you run into problems in that if people are making mixed containers, they're not looking at conditions. You know, you might put in the frosty fern and the cyclamen and the poinsettia, and oh, you want a little bit of upright color. Boom. There's a great little cute arrangement, but differing conditions for every plant. So while it will look good for the short term, you will not be able to keep those together and thriving for very long. So keep that in mind. You will need to, if you want to keep the plants, and we always do, repot them, put them in the right conditions indoors until they can go outside for the summer or whatever else. They certainly can be done like that, but you know, this is what you'll see when you go in to buy a mixed set of gift plants. So be aware that you've got different conditions, and you can keep them growing on as long as you want. You got any questions for today, Laura?
So Jeff, Jane would like to know, how big will the Italian stone pine get?
Well, in Italy, they get to be 40 or 50 foot tall trees. In a container, I don't know. I'm going to try them. I've never grown them before, so I'm going to grow them. I'm going to put them into I got two of them. I'm going to put them into matching pots, and I'm going to let them grow 3 or 4 feet or so, and keep them trimmed, so they just keep to be a small plant with this wonderful blue-green foliage. Remember, you can trim an evergreen and keep it as small as you want for years and years and years. Think of bonsai enthusiasts who could keep a pine tree this big for 300 years. With pruning and care, you can do that. So, like I say, in Italy where these grow, they make big full-size trees, but beautiful as a small ornamental with some pruning care. Yeah, absolutely.
Jeff, Michelle would like to know if you can plant the poinsettias outside.
So poinsettias outside for the summer? Absolutely. What will they do? They'll make a big green tropical bush. They will not bloom. They do not bloom until we have an extended period of short days. So growers will start these in September. No, I mean a little earlier than September. They'll get lots of vegetative growth or green growth on them. And then as the days get shorter through October, November, and the first part of December, that long nights and the short daylight triggers the bracts to turn color. So that's how they work. If light gets on the poinsettias at the end of October, when they've already started that sequence of turning color, then it sort of gets reset. They have to keep the greenhouses blacked out so they don't get outside light from street lights and things like that at night, or they won't color up properly. So it's not an easiest plant to keep and rebloom indoors, although some people can do it. But yeah, outdoors, you'll just get a nice tropical bush of that rich green foliage. Not a problem. That's why I keep trying to want to keep this one, because the variegation is in the leaf. It's not in the bract. So this will keep its color all year round on the foliage. Maybe I'll be successful this year and I can use it in a mixed planter or something. That's what my hope is. So we'll try it again.
I'm reminded of the house that we drove by in the summer that had 2 poinsettias with the red bract still flanking her front garden, her front gate.
We did, and I'm pretty sure she stuck fake flowers in there, in her poinsettia plants. But the plants make an interesting foliage plant, and certainly that variety that I saw, and we saw it in a couple of different garden centers, so it's out there. The one with the very, very dark foliage could make a really striking plant in mixed containers, sort of as a foliage backdrop to your summer planter. So it's something to think about if you want to keep them growing and try and rebloom them next winter. Something to think about.
And that's it.
All right. Well, I hope that gives you a little bit of an idea when you're out doing your holiday plant shopping about what you can do with some of these things. Enjoy them. They're always nice. They're beautiful to brighten up the house, even if it's just for a short period of time. And have some fun trying to keep over your lemon cypresses or your Elwoodii or your stone pines, and enjoy your plants. Just a quick note, our trips are filling up. If you're interested in the Chelsea Flower Show, it's a 9-day trip in May. It is chock full of some fantastic gardens. We have added more already. It's going to be a great trip. There's still some space on it. So if Chelsea Flower Show's been on your bucket list, send an email to Marjorie at masonhousegardens.com, and we'll send you more information. Also, our trip to the Highlands of Scotland in August only has a few spots left. If you want to visit that great part of the world, it's going to be an amazing trip as well. Lots of fantastic gardens, rugged scenery, and hillsides covered in blooming heather at that time of the year. So we'll wrap it up for today. We will see you next week on Let's Get Growing Facebook Live. Thanks for joining us.